everyone, welcome back to yet another brand new video on the LiveProg YouTube channel. The second new video. Makes you wonder.
You working again?
No, just sorting some stuff out.
A video I've been meaning to make for a long time, but unfortunately I never got round to it through all kinds of reasons. One of them being that I really had to get back used to talking about music on camera. I haven't done that in a long time, so it took me a couple of tries before to get this video right. This is the album I wanted to show you guys. A contemporary vintage by the Dutch neo-prog band Timelock. And not just about this LP, but just about the band Timelock in general, because as you can see, this is their, well, including this one, this is their entire catalog. I discovered this band back in somewhere in '93 when I just had discovered progressive rock. And a friend of mine, well, no, wait a second. Before I get back to the album, a couple of other things I wanted to show you guys. This one to be starting with. The SI music sampler, the first one and the last track on this album is actually the title track of this album, Louise Brooks, of which I, thanks to the vocalist of Timelock, Ruud Stoker, I now have a copy of the original SI music release. I'm really happy with this one, so that's pretty awesome. But back then in the 90s, I never got around to buying that because I discovered so much music and I got sidetracked and I kind of lost track of that album. And I kind of lost track of the band Timelock, although through this one, I always kept listening to that one track I had, Louise Brooks. I loved it very much. A little history, because, when Ruud Stoker was kind enough to send me a copy of this album, he also sent me a copy of this album, The Last Detail. This is actually the kind of predecessor of Timelock. When this band kind of fell apart, a couple of the guys decided they wanted to continue and they formed Timelock and they kept on going, and Timelock's been away. I mean, these are the first 4 albums they released, then somewhere in 2013, 2014, to maybe 2018, I bet. I'm not sure exactly. They got dormant for about 13 years. Then in 2021, they released an EP, followed a year later by a full-length album. And in November 2023, they followed with this one, Contemporary Vintage, which is not really a new album. It's a vinyl-only release. And it's a compilation album. I'll get into it in a minute. I'll have to go back to my story about me discovering Timelock, because, as I said, the Louise Brooks album, back in the 90s, I didn't buy it. But a couple of years ago, for some reason, the band popped up on my radar, and I found out that they were back in action, but they were also re-releasing their entire back catalog, as you can see here, because I have all the re-releases. Beautiful cardboard boxes with lots of bonus tracks in it. So most of them are double CDs. There's a lot of additional music on it, which makes it great purchases, especially because the music's fantastic. But when I bought this one, I was like, wow, this is amazing music. And I very quickly decided to buy the rest of the albums. And since I'm also, well, not very active, not very fanatic, but also a little bit on the vinyl bandwagon, of course I wanted this one. And look at the artwork, I really love it very much. I mean, what I love about the music of Timelock is that it is very progressive, but it's very melodic. And at the same time, they have these lots of catchy parts in it, choruses that you really start to sing along with, and that makes it great music. And I gotta be honest, and unfortunately it is on this one as well, but on Louise Brooks, the last track of the original album called The Seance, that to this very day is my absolute favorite track, despite the fact that I really love their music. And that's what I like about it. I mean, when I finally got this album and I really realized how great this music was, how good these guys were, I wanted to hear more. And I first bought these two, The Dawn and Circle of Deception. And that was like the first time I heard more and other music from the band. And I was like, wow, this stuff is great. I mean, I was doing some vinyl cleaning on a Saturday afternoon. I just put all of these albums back to back. I listened to them and it's like, wow, I had a great afternoon. I really enjoyed listening to them because it's very accessible music. And like I said, it's really melodic and it's just simply great stuff to listen to. So that's why I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna buy all of it. And I have it complete, and I've listened to every single one of them. What I love about the last one, Sign In, the last studio album, is that contains an epic, almost 20-minute track, almost 19-minute track. I was talking about the vinyl, wasn't I? I mean, I get carried away because, you know, I'm enthusiastic about this band, you can tell, I guess. And that's what I love about it, but I wanted to show you the vinyl. And as you can see, I mean, when you call your band Timelock, you have to do something with clocks. So you got this beautiful artwork here. The only drawback a little bit is that it's kind of hard to say which is the A side and which is the B side of the album, but minor inconvenience, because when you start playing it, you'll find out very quickly which side is which, and then you'll remember it. That was that. And then we also have, that was also pretty cool, there's a lyric sheet in it, which is signed by the entire band, which is nice. Yeah, and of course the lyrics, and there's a little story here about the band and everything. So, you know, there's a lot to discover in this band, and I really love them. And I kind of looked around, and there were no real reviews of this album. There's not a lot of attention for the band, which is a shame, because I, for one, am really happy that Timelock is back, especially now that I really discovered all their music. And what I am very happy about is that they are already working on new music. That's so much great to look forward to. But if you're not familiar with this band, if you like vinyl, then I highly recommend you purchase this one. I promised I would get back into this one. The track listing, as you can see right here, they included at least one song from each album. Some albums have even 2 songs on it. Interestingly, there was one song on side A, the song Salesman, and I was like, hey man, I can't find that on the Timelock albums. It's not officially a Timelock song, it's a Dreamcarnation song. That's a different project by some of the band members from Timelock, including also some members from For Absent Friends. There's going to be a re-release of that one as well, but they included that track here. You don't really hear that it is not a Timelock song, because it got the same feel to it, and I really love that very much. What I also like, and that makes this album a little bit stand out more. I mean, when Timelock started back in '92 with Louise Brooks, it was just 4 guys, and I have a note, because I can't remember that all by heart. Rinus Hollenberg on guitar, Julian Driessen on keyboards, Bert de Bruyne on bass, and Ruud Stoker on vocals. Back then they didn't have a drummer. I didn't realize that. I only found out when I was looking at these, you know, the info on the CDs. But now they had several lineup changes. When I look at the lineup of this album, and again, you know, I'm just reading it from the back cover here. We still have Ruud Stoker on vocals. We still have Julian Driessen on keyboards. But we have Martin Hendricks on guitars. And then an interesting one, we have Arjen van der Bos on orchestral keyboards and piano. Yeah, they had added a second keyboard player to the whole lineup. David Gurink on bass, Rob Boshuizen on drums, and Laura Erades and Kobe van Oorschot on backing vocals. So they started out on this one with 4, they have now 8. They're an 8-piece band now. And you can imagine that gives a much richer and much bigger sound to it. And that's what makes this album so great. And I love it that they just all picked out their favorite songs. They made a record of this one. And instead of, you know, just picking out songs that they already have and put them there, you know, they kind of re-recorded them with this bigger band, which makes them sound a lot bigger and makes them sound really great. So yeah, this is a vinyl only release, so I'd say it's a good reason to buy a record player if you don't have one. But even though, you know, guys, if you're not familiar with the band, check out Timelock, go to the website, go to their Bandcamp site, listen to some tracks and buy their albums, because it is great stuff.